In this lesson, we're going to be talking about installing plugins in Chrome. Now, Google Chrome has a framework to be able to install plugins to extend its capability. Part of this actually came out of the need to have the browser run applications because in Google's Chrome OS, the only interface you actually have is Google Chrome. It's the browser that you interact with all the time, and so in order to be able to have applications, the browser itself needed to be able to support executing those applications. Now, it does have a somewhat restricted model in terms of its ability to engage and interact with different components of the browser or the operating system. But there are extensions that are supported in Chrome, and we're going to take a look at how to install those plugins or extensions. And that's because there are a number of really useful extensions that you can install in Chrome that will help you do your web application testing. So you can see right here as an example, I've got Firebug Lite for Google Chrome. Firebug is a plugin that allows you to interact with a web page in a different way that gives you more detailed insight into how the page is put together and how it actually works. So Firebug is a useful plugin to have. So we're going to go off to the Chrome Web Store here. I actually went from extensions, I clicked Get More Extensions, takes me over to the Google Web Store, and you can see there's a number of different types of plugins that we've got available here. And I want to do some searching here. So one of the things I want to do just for giggles is we're going to search security. And you can see there's a security analyzer is the very first thing that pops up. It's an extension to inspect the security aspects of a site's HTTP headers, its cookies, and other key security settings. We've also got WebSecurify, which is a web security testing technology, and it actually runs inside the browser. So you can see there's a number of other plugins that are available here. We could also do something like looking at XSS for cross-site scripting. Here we actually have a plugin that is a complete cross-site scripting reversing scanner tool, and in order to add it, all I have to do is click Add to Chrome. It's going to add the plugin, and it should give us a little icon up here, which is how we're going to interact with it. So you can see XSS Raise has been added to Chrome. So we can also add a number of other plugins as well, and we could do something like check for SQL injection. And again, we get WebSecurify up here. We get Drupal for Chrome, which gives us some debugging information about Drupal. And we've got a number of other plugins here which don't really have anything to do with SQL injection. So we're going to skip those. There are tools that you may want to be able to, for example, do base64 decoding. Often when you're interacting with a web server, you may get data that's been base64 encoded. So you may want to have something like a base64 decoder right here. So this right here decodes base64 strings. You highlight the string and right-click, and it brings it up. So there are a number of plugins that actually work with Chrome, and you can install those, make use of them, extend your browser to be able to do some of the work for you, and it saves you going to different websites and doing a lot of typing. It's really not that it's doing the work for you. What it's doing is it's saving you time so that you can spend your time really thinking about the best way to approach doing the attacks against the web server. So rather than doing a lot of typing, bringing up different web applications, you can just right-click and you can get the option to, for example, do a base64 decode. So that's how you would install extensions to Google Chrome. As it turns out, though, as I said, Chrome actually has a fairly restricted extension environment, and Firefox is another web browser that you may be familiar with, has a pretty extensive library of plugins that we can use, and its environment for developing these plugins is much broader, in part because it's less secure. It doesn't have the restrictions that Chrome does. And so we're going to take a look at plugins in Firefox and how you would go about installing plugins in Firefox coming up next.